Hey, my little sinners and saints. Today we got a video that has got to have a lot of trigger warnings. It's got explicit content, a lot of death, a lot of torture. So if this is going to trigger you, this might not be the video that you want to watch. If not, just go and click out, and maybe I'll see you in another video. Got our trigger warnings. This is John Bunting. Adelaide is the capital city of South Australia and the state's biggest city, named after Queen Adelaide. The city was founded in 1836, and there's a little bit about that, but I'm going to kind of skip over it because there's 100 pages here and I want to get through them. And so I'm going to kind of condense it down to, I was going to read them all, but I'm going to try to condense it down. John Bunting, this is the man you're looking at, was an angry man who hated people based on their race and lifestyle. Hating them wasn't enough, though. He needed to rid the world of them. Instead of taking his own misguided journey on his own, he indoctrinated others into believing his hate was justified and people deserved to die. Whenever he was 8, it was reported that this 15-year-old had sexually assaulted him. And then when the father come home, he took off on a motorcycle wreck, crashed and died. But later it was reported that the same gentleman threatened him not to tell anybody. So it's untrue that he crashed and died. He would take pea ants and put them in acid, see how they would die, how they would react. Then he moved on to cats and dogs. I'm kind of going to go through my notes on what I've got because this is conflicting as can be. This is also John. This is Robert Wagner, Barry Lane, Mark Hayden. These are the main players. Barry Lane is not really a main player, but the other ones are. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Their first victim was Clinton Therese. And he was a gentleman that was mentally disabled, which you'll find that all these people are. It seems like they're all on disability. And he didn't have the mental capacity to realize he can't run outside without clothes on. And so some kids were out in his yard one day and they were acting up or doing something. So he runs outside. The landlord comes by and starts running her mouth to him and stuff. And not saying it's right at all. That's not what I'm saying. And so that's the first victim. They take him and they torture him and they choke him to death. And then they bury him out to where two farmers that were like trying to kill the weed spraying, found, they thought it was a fox burrow. And turns out they found a skull, then they found human remains. So they called the law in. And John would dig, when he was younger, would dig these holes and he started digging them around the house. And his dad made him fill them in because it was dangerous. But this is Clinton. This was the first victim. And so they got his information for his disability money. So they would go to this store and withdraw it. And his sister tried to report him missing, but it took 3 years before the mother reported him missing. So there really wasn't too helpful there. But that did lead them to the body of it whenever the farmers had found the body out there, because that was Clifford. The next one was Ray Davies, sorry. Try to find a picture of him real quick. But again, they tortured him. And when I say tortured, they had these machines that it was like a soldering iron that they would use on their genitals. There was where took sparklers and stuck it down the hole of the penis, lit and let it burn all the way down, stuck cigarettes in the ear, stuck cigarettes in their nose. Um, One of them, they actually, I think that was David Johnson, the last one, they actually cut some of his flesh off and eat it. And it was just brutal, and they would always choke them to death. But Clinton was hit. John made a comment to him and he told him to fuck off. And John goes, gets a shovel and hits him in the back of the head. And he caves the back of his skull in so bad that it actually fractures the front. So they dismembered him and took him in bags and buried him. Ray Davis, they done the same. Let me get to where. Clinton Trace was only reported, like I said, missing after 3 years. Barry Lane was reported, but he was very odd and he was a pedophile, so people are not going to be concerned. They also was taking his money, so they've got Clinton's money, Barry's money, Ray's money, and then Elizabeth Hayden. She was reported missing the next day by her brother, not by her husband, Mark Hayden, the one I showed you. And so the marriage was over and she left. A Land Rover comes into play into this, but the people that were put into the bank vault was Ray Davies, Susan Allen. I'm sorry, I've got so much here. And they were putting them in barrels and putting them in hydraulic acid, which was the wrong acid. They should have used sulfuric, but it's just something put in your back pocket. Oh, and something else put in your back pocket. Morocco does an extra guy. Not say anything, but um, Fred Marks was the one that they tortured so bad. If I don't know if you know this or not, but if you take a big lighter and you light the end of it and get it all real hot and you stick it to the skin, it makes a smiley face. And they did that to Fred Brooks's forehead and his nipple. And they were sticking cigarettes up his nose. They done the machine on him, the sparklers. It was just crazy. The thing that killed him is they shot water up into his testicles, and that killed him. I would think the pain from all that would. But they also killed Michael Gardner because he was what they called flamboyant. Um, Never hurt nobody, good guy. Um, and then they got Barry Lane, and they tortured every one of these people. Every one of these people, with each person, it increased in torture. And John just enjoyed it. And then they got Gavin Porter. Gavin was a guy that they had just wanted to kill. I mean, they got to where they just wanted to kill. Thomas Trayvon. I'm going to show you some slides in a minute to make all this make sense. And Gary Dreyer, he had been hit by a car and he was mentally disabled. And so they got him and tortured him, and they would have them make recordings so they could play it for the family, so they would think that they just left, and they would get all their bank information, so they were getting all this money from all these people they were killing, and that's actually how they got caught. But that was another one that they just wanted to kill. Troy Yode. Troy was I think, which one was the stepbrother? There was a stepbrother to this one Jamie that they didn't kill, that he liked. And he said that his stepbrother, had molested him whenever he was little. So they tortured him, got his bank information, and was getting his money too. Elizabeth Hayden. And the last one was David Johnson. and they would make these recordings. They call it the voices of the dead. I'm gonna try to see if I can find some information here. This kind of gives you an idea of how everybody was connected, because Mark Hayden was married to Elizabeth Hayden. And some of these people made it out alive, but you can see all the people like this, they didn't. These are the ones right here that went on trial. Jamie turned on them, so he got a lesser sentence. Mark, he got like 25 years, I think, and Robert and John got life. But let's look at some more pictures. Because I'm not even going to lie, there's so many, I can't keep up with the pictures. Okay, let's start our little PowerPoint. PowerPoint time. Here's some background information. The Snowtown, because they had rented a bank in Snowtown because they were in Adelaide. They rented a bank, and that's where they were storing all these barrels of people. There were 6 barrels with 8 bodies in them. The Snowtown murders were a series of homicides committed by John Bunting, Robert Wagner, and James Vasquez between August 1992 and May 1999 in South Australia. There were 8 bodies found and 6 barrels found by the police. That's the criminals. And of course, John Bunting is the mastermind of the one. He hated the reason that he killed Gavin Porter was Jamie became a drug addict and they would shoot up. Well, he sat down one day and he said it got stuck by a needle. So that's when he decided Gavin Porter needed to die. Again, the mastermind. And I want to say right now, the murders and the way that he's depicted, because I watched like 10 hours of videos on this. I've done research, I've even looked at Wikipedia, everything. I think there's more bodies out there that's just not been found. I think that this is not just something he started. I think that he's killed before and possibly by himself. So, because there was 12 bodies in 2 different places. Robert Wagner was a homosexual. He was in a homosexual relationship whenever he met Bunny. Found guilty of 10 murders, spent the rest of his life behind bars with no chance of getting out. Mark Hayden is easily manipulated, nippy. Um, Whenever it come to Bunton, he done whatever he was told. They all seem to enjoy this immensely. I've never seen such. It's like a pack of wolves on a piece of meat, is what it reminded me of. I mean, they would just grab somebody, take them to the bathroom. Everybody went to the bathroom, and they would go in there and they would torture them, everything. They would get the information they needed and the recordings that they needed, and then they would finally kill them. Some of the victims are Clinton Treese. Like I said, he's 22. Um, he was like 18 or younger whenever they first started, whenever he met him. Said he's hitting the head with the hammer. He was hitting the head with the shovel. Um, Ray Davis was the next one. He was 26, was a pedophile. He was strangled. He wasn't a pedophile. He was should have been a sex offender because he would run out in front of children and stuff, but he never molested children. He was mentally disabled and didn't understand, but he should have been on the sex offender registry. He was strangled to death by bunting. Susan Allen died of natural causes. She died before she could be charged. Michael Gardner, 19, he cross-dressed homosexual. He was strangled to death by Bunting and Wagner. And now all these people were tortured too. It wasn't like they were just strangled and that was it. Strangled was the last thing that happened before they were tortured. They were tortured, and then this is the wall. He called it the rock spider wall, and he put up everybody that he wanted to get rid of. Let's see if we can go back here. They used saw, planks, jackhammers, or jack handles, hammers, pliers, handcuffs, because they would get the toes and squeeze the toes and break the toenail and break the toe. Same with the fingers, cigarettes, belts, electric shocks, handcuffs, pliers. Let me go back. I want to make sure. Frederick Brooks is 18, mentally handicapped, was tortured to death. Gary O'Dwyer, 29, disabled. He was handcuffed, beaten, whipped with a belt and electrical shocks. Elizabeth Hayden, 37. John just got tired of her. He hated her. Um, Disappeared. He actually killed her while Mark was out. And David Johnson, 24, was the last victim of John Bunting and Robert Wagner. He was lured to Snowtown by Vasquez. He was strangled by his own belt. They didn't get to torture him too much because they strangled him to death. So the Snowtown murders became a movie called Snowtown, which I'm going to watch. I probably should have already done that. But after the bodies in the barrel were found, Snowtown became South Africa's energy capital. And this is the people that worked on it to figure out who these people were. Because of the acid that they used the wrong one, and the body fluid kind of made it the pH level out. Hazel, let it go. And so it mummified them because it's got salt in it, and they should have used sulfuric acid. Whenever they open the bank vault, this is the first thing they see. They unzipped it. They see knives, gloves. There'll be some barrels here in a minute. But this was all the victims. This was Barry Love, Barry Lane, and this was David Johnson, the last victim. This was Michael O'Dwyer, I think. This was Clifton. This was Susan or Elizabeth that they killed. This was Susan. This was Gavin Porter. I think this is Troy. I apologize for not knowing all the names. This was a difficult case. But we're going to see now. I'm just going to leave these up for a second and then go to the next one. and they were all gay and they were all mentally disabled. But they got caught because they started finding the bodies and people seen them loading up the barrels in the thing and taking it to Snowtown. And so they finally found a Land Rover that was missing from Elizabeth's house in Snowtown. And so they got a warrant to go in there. And then they started looking at CCTV to see who was picking up the money, and it was always Robert Wagner. So they got him. They got all three of them, and Jamie turns on them and tells them everything in like a 2,200 page uh, report is what he wrote. This is for anybody thinking anything bad. And this right here, if you call, there's a number you can call. I'm sorry, I don't have it. But if you're on this, the hotline and somebody walks in, you can hit the ES, exit button twice and it'll take you to a Google page. And that way nobody could ever see that you're trying to get help and stuff. But I'm going to see here real quick. Okay. Jamie tells cops everything. They identify 10 bodies, which there's 14, or 12, sorry. And I think there's more than that. That's what I'm thinking. Um, Elizabeth Harvey dies before she can be charged from cancer. John Bunting gets life. Wagner gets life. Um, Hayden gets 25 years after because he admitted to killing somebody. He said Elizabeth, but I don't think he was there. Anyway, he gets 25 years parole after 18. Jamie gets life and he can get parole after 26. So that's the count on that. But this is Australia, and they don't have the death penalty. So, or if they do, I'm not sure of it. But thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope you like my new avatar. I made her chunky with big boobs and a tan and red lips, green eyes, blue eyes, whatever eyes she's got. But thank you anyway for watching, and as always, I will see you next time. I may go and do this one again. So if you see two of them, watch both of them. Thank you, and I will see you later.